We shall now have an opportunity for silent prayers and meditation. Thank you so much, honourable members. We may take our seats. Good morning, honourable members. We are here again as this Limpopo legislature convened on the 27th of March 2025 to consider our daily program. I want to be advised whether I'm correct, that according to the orders of the day, programming committee has agreed that we will defer item 2, 3, 4, and 5. Am I correct to say so? Okay. Thanks very much. We'll move straight to item 6, where item 6 is about tabling of the committee reports and other reports and papers. 6.1, tabling of the departmental institutional annual performance plans for the financial year 2025-26 and strategic plans for 2025 to 2030, which should be done by leader of government business, Honorable MEC Coxter, Honorable Makamu.
Thanks very much, Honorable Speaker, colleagues in the Cabinet, the Chief Whip, Honorable Members, Leader of Opposition. Honorable Speaker, in compliance with the provisions of Section 27, subsection 4 of the Public Finance Management Act of 1999, as amended by Act number 29 of 1999, as well as Chapter 5 of the Treasury Regulations, I, Vice-Corp Makamo, on behalf of my colleagues in the Executive, do hereby table the 2025-26 Departmental Institutional Annual Performance Plans and the 2025 to 2080 5-year strategic plans for the following departments for consideration by the House. Vote 1, Office of the Premier. Vote 3, Department of Education. Vote 4, Department of Agriculture and Rural Development. Vote 5, Department of Provincial Treasury. Vote 6, Department of Economic Development, Environment and Tourism and its entities. The entities are Limpopo Tourism Agency, LTA, the Limpopo Gambling Board, LGB, Limpopo Economic Development Leader. Also, vote 7, Department of Health. Vote 8, Department of Transport and Community Safety and its entity, Gateway Airport Authority Limited, GAL. Vote 9, the Department of Public Works, Roads and Infrastructure and its entity, Road Agency Limpopo. Vote 10, Department of Sports, Arts and Culture. Vote 11, Department of Coxter. Vote 12, Department of Social Development. I so submit, Honorable Speaker. Thank you very much.
You can see Tatan Makam, the reports, the strategic plans and annual performance plans are referred to the relevant portfolio committees for consideration and to report back to the House. 6.2, tabling of the Limpopo Legislature Annual Performance Plan for the financial year ending 2025-2026 and 5-year strategic plans 2025 to 2030 by the Deputy Speaker, Mayor Grace Portia Tebogo Mamrovel.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. You've called the correct names. Madam Speaker, in compliance with Section 13B of the Financial Management of Parliament and Provincial Legislatures Act of 2009, which states that the executive authority must table the strategic plan and annual performance plan in Parliament. I, Tebogo Grace Mamrovela, raised to table the 2025 to 2030 strategic plan of the Limpopo Provincial Legislature, as well as 2025 to 2026 annual performance plan for consideration by this Honorable House. I so move, Madam Speaker.
Roreboa, thank you so much, Deputy Speaker. The strategic plan for annual performance plan and the 5-year strategic plan are referred to the Oversight Mechanism Committee for consideration and report back to the House. 6.3, tabling of the 2022-2023 Section 47 reports on the performance of municipalities in the province. MEC for Coxstar, Honorable MEC Rogers Basikopo Makamu.
Thanks very much, Honorable Speaker. Madam Speaker, in terms of the Local Government Municipal Systems Act, number 32 of 2000, Section 47, subsection 1, the MEC for local government must compile an annual report and submit to the provincial legislature a consolidated report on the performance of municipalities in the province. Section 47, subsection 2, further indicates that the report must include the following. A, identify municipalities that underperformed during the year, propose a remedial action to be taken, and C, be published in the Provincial Gazette. Madam Speaker, in line with this provision of the above-mentioned legislation, I hereby table the 2017 to 2018 report of the performance of municipalities in the province for consideration by the August House. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Ikensile, the 2022-2023 Section 47 report on the performance of municipalities in the province is referred to the Portfolio Committee of Coxstar for consideration and referred back to the House. 6.4, Honorable Members, I here informed that we have received the following reports from Public Service Commission for tabling in the House in terms of Section 196 4E of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa of 1996. The reports are as follows. 6.4.1, the report on the qualification of senior managers in the public service, updated May 2024. 6.4.2, report on the verification on financial disclosures forms for the senior management service members within the Limpopo Provincial Government for the year 2023-2024 financial year, August 2024. 6.4.3, report on the service delivery inspection conducted at the selected service delivery sites of the Department of Employment and Labor in Limpopo for 2023-2024 financial year, August 2024. 6.4.4, inspection report of the Limpopo Department of Social Development, March 2023-2024 financial year. 6.4.5, Limpopo Overview Report on Financial Misconduct for the 2023-2024 financial year, September 2024. 6.4.6, Draft Report, Inspection of Service Delivery, Department of Home Affairs, Practitioner Office, Limpopo Province, 20 September 2024. Honorable Members, all the reports are referred to the Portfolio Committee on Public Administration for consideration and report back to the House. We'll now proceed to in terms of the order of the day, which is item 7. Item 7.1, the motion of suspension of the House Rule 173. Honorable Chief Whip, Ntate Mokgonyana. Ntate Isop Mokgonyana, the podium is yours. I must go and investigate who was misleading the Chief Whip. Somebody was trying to mislead the Chief Whip. I'm going to have an investigation on that matter, Secretary.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, and my apologies. In actual fact, I was given the motion that was just read by Honorable Magamune. Madam Speaker, House Rule 173 provides that unless otherwise provided in these rules, not more than one stage of bill may be taken on the same sitting day if objection to a further stage is made by 4 or more members. It has therefore become necessary to invoke the provision of House Rule 5 to suspend the provision of House Rule 173 in order to allow the House to finalize the Limpopo Adjustment Appropriation Amendment Bill 2025 B002/2025 before the end of this financial year. I move accordingly, Honorable Speaker. I hope I read the correct motion.
You indeed read the correct one. Is there any seconder to the motion? You know, some motions, even the MEC second. Yeah, I'm just saying, if MECs don't second, they don't, they might not know the implications of the motion not being seconded. Is there any seconder to the motion? Honorable MEC Razilane.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker, and a very good morning to all honorable members. I rise to second the motion as presented before this August House by the Honorable Chief Whip. Thanks.
Thank you so much. There's a motion that bind all of us. If we don't pass the budget, all of us were affected. Because we have got the responsibilities to implement out there. We'll now proceed to item 7.2, consideration and adoption of the report of the Portfolio Committee on Provincial Treasury on the Limpopo Adjustment Appropriation Amendment Bill, B02, stretch 2025, Committee Chair. Honorable Piedi Maseka Solomon. The wise man.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, and greetings to all members in this legislature. Honorable Speaker, I stand before this House to give a report on the Portfolio Committee on Provincial Treasury on the Limpopo Adjustment Appropriation Bill, Appropriation Amendment Bill of B2 of 2025 for consideration and adoption. And I so move, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you so much. We shall now refer to the speaker's list. Is there any seconder? Sorry for that. Is there any seconder for the report? Honorable Mukaba.
Yo. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and good morning to honorable members. I rise to second Honorable Pieri for the report that he has just presented. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We now move to 7.2.1, the second reading debate on the Limpopo Adjustment Appropriation Amendment Bill B02 2025. We shall now refer to the speakers list. The first honorable member who's opening the debate is Honorable Ngobeni Asani Peter. They are now confusing me. I don't know whose Ngobeni is this one. Whose Ngobeni is this one?
Honorable the Speaker, the Deputy Speaker, Chief Whip, and members of the Whipari, the esteemed members of the Executive Council, honorable members. Today, we are gathered in this August House, not just merely to debate a financial bill, but to discuss the future of our beautiful province that is led by a beautiful Premier. A future that hinges on how we better respond to the challenges our province faces. The 2024-2025 Limpopo Adjustment Appropriation Amendment Bill represents a critical moment in our collective effort to rebuild, recover, and strengthen the foundation of our province. From restoring the social infrastructure that sustains our communities to ensuring that our people have adequate access to quality health care, education, and safety. Essential, this bill is more than just numbers. It's about the lives and livelihoods of every citizen of this province. This is our opportunity to make meaningful adjustments that will ensure that no one is left behind as we steadily gravitate towards progress and development. The bill represents not just adjustment of funds, but a strategic response to immediate needs, with particular emphasis on disaster recovery, ensuring that the province can rebuild and continue to deliver essential services to our people today and not tomorrow. In this regard, and through your permission, Honorable Speaker, allow me to quote the biblical text in the Holy Bible, especially the book of Proverbs, chapter 3, verse 27 to 28. The Proverbs says, "Withhold not good from them to whom it is due, when it is in the power of thine hand to do it. Say not unto thy neighbor, go, and come again, and tomorrow I will give, when thou hast it by thee." Close quote. This hallowed biblical text, Honorable Speaker, assumes that as this government of the day, we have the capacity to provide services to the people of this province today and not tomorrow. We can give our people services today, for it is in our hands to do so. Honorable Speaker, the Department of Public Works, Roads and Infrastructure has seen a significant increase of 390, my apology. The Department of Public Works, Roads and Infrastructure has seen a significant increase in its budget for the 2024-2025 financial year, with an allocation increase of 398,743,000. The total budget has risen from 5,675,000,000 to 6,074,000,000. This adjustment is a direct response to the urgent infrastructure recovery and rehabilitation interventions following disasters that ravaged parts of our province, with Waterberg and Vembe being the hardest hit districts. Furthermore, the additional funding allocated to the Department of Public Works, Roads and Infrastructure will enable large-scale provincial rollout of the flagship program, Dikgeregere. This increased allocation is expected to fast-track infrastructure development, create employment opportunities, including and especially 150 new permanent job opportunities that the MEC, Honorable Sewataulu Tony Rachweni, mentioned in this August House. And this will better able to assuage abject and grinding poverty in our communities across the province. Social infrastructure is the backbone of any community, and the swift repair and rebuilding of critical infrastructure is essential for restoring access to essential services. This allocation will further ensure that hospitals, schools, and other community structures can rebuild, repaired, and made safer for our people who rely on them daily. Furthermore, the Department of Health has also received an adjustment of 1,037,000, increasing its budget from 24,757,000,000 to 24,758,000,000. This additional funding is specifically allocated for the disaster management interventions related to infrastructure damage caused by floods. The adjustment comes at a crucial time when the healthcare facilities are in dire need of refurbishment and upkeep to meet the demands of the province's growing population. It is critically important, therefore, that we continue to ensure the efficient allocation and spending of these resources to improve the quality of health services, particularly in rural areas. Honorable the Speaker, honorable members, turning to the education sector, we must highlight upfront the downward adjustment of 213,737,000 in the Department of Education's budget. A portion of these adjustments include the stoppage of 187,965,000 from the Education Infrastructure Grant, which had been underspent. While this highlights a challenge in efficient fund utilization, it is also an opportunity for the department to frankly reflect on the underspending and put solid measures in place to avoid such undesirable situations in future. However, the department will receive an additional 86,388,000 for disaster management interventions to address the damage caused by floods, which is essential for the restoring education facilities and ensuring that better and conducive environment is created for learning and teaching to take place without any hindrance. The current budget allocation will enable the immediate completion of Riboni Special School for the Blind in Vembe District, which is proceeding well and it is on course. The contractor for Asipumelele Special School in Sikukune has been appointed and construction has commenced. The completion of new school project will provide the much needed infrastructure improvement in the special needs education space. Indeed, Limpopo is the province on the rise, and this upward trajectory is predicated on the actual provision of services to the people of this province. However, the committee has noted with grave concern the surrendering of funds back to the national fiscus as a direct consequence of underspending in the education infrastructure grant. We have urged the Department of Education in the province and the Provincial Treasury to engage with the National Department of Education to ensure that this 187,965,000 is not lost, but rather rolled over for use in the next financial year. It is essential, therefore, that we work together to support the department in ensuring the effective spending on allocated funds to meet the infrastructure needs of our schools. Education is a tool for the future development of our province, and therefore we cannot afford to allow much needed resources to be returned to the national fiscus. The Department of Cooperative Governance, Human Settlement, and Traditional Affairs, COGSTA, has received an increase of 195 million, bringing its budget from 2,687,000,000 to 2,882,000,000. This increase is to fund provincial disaster recovery and rehabilitation interventions, which is crucial for the restoring human settlements that have been severely impacted by the recent floods. The Department of Coxstar plays a vital role in ensuring that our communities, particularly those in rural areas, have access to adequate housing, potable water, and sanitation. Honorable the Speaker, Honorable the Speaker, this allocation will help the second phase of the removal and replacement of 755 asbestos roof, which has already commenced. To date, 20 roofs were replaced in the first quarter of the current financial year. We must prioritize the effective spending of this allocation to ensure that the people who have been displaced or affected by natural disasters can have access to secure, stable, and safe housing. Additionally, the department must accelerate its plans to address the housing backlog that has been a persistent challenge in the province. The allocation should not only focus on disaster recovery, but also on long-term development strategies that will improve the living conditions of the people of this province. Honorable the Speaker, honorable members, another key area of focus is the Department of Transport, Community Safety, which has been a downward adjustment of 50,635,000. While this reduction is part of the province's broader strategy to reallocate funds to disaster recovery, it must not result in the dilution of resources allocated for policing and community safety. The reduction in funding will hinder the department's ability to improve road safety outcomes, including lowering fatality rates, expanding pedestrian safety programs, and increasing school involvement in road safety education initiatives. It is critical that our policing and community safety efforts continue to be equipped and resourced to tackle crime and ensure the safety of our communities. This funding should focus on improving police infrastructure and visibility, equipping the traffic officers with the necessary tools and technologies, and ensuring that our law enforcement and community policing forums have the resources they need to protect our community effectively. As I conclude, Honorable Speaker, the Limpopo Adjustment Appropriation Bill is a strategic blueprint to address both agent crisis and lasting development objectives. By reallocating funds to education, infrastructure, policing, and Coxstar, we bridge emergency response with long-term growth. Accountability in this regard, Honorable Speaker, is important. Every department must deliver measurable results through collaborative and transparent executions. This bill empowers government to rebuild critical infrastructure and services, ensuring no community is left behind. Our mandate is clear: transform budgets into tangible progress for every Limpopo resident. In his article in December 2024 in the British newspaper, The Guardian, entitled "We Cannot Afford for Starmer's Government to Fail," columnist Jonathan Friedland makes an important point that the agility and precision with which government respond to the aspirations and demands of the Britons is important. He said, and I quote, "Messaging cannot do the job alone. Voters still trust their own eyes," close quotes. He suggests that only when the lived and felt experiences of the people are better, only then will they believe in government. In this regard, everything comes down to leadership. As the Indian lawyer and anti-colonial activist Mahatma Gandhi wisely observed, and I quote, "The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others." Thank you very much.
I can, Raleboga. Honorable members will observe that today there's no timing. We just want you to time yourselves. There is no timer, so there's no one that I'm going to stop. It was deliberate that there is no timer. We're not timing anyone. So let's just make sure that we manage our own time and say whatever we think is very important for the people of the province. Thank you so much. We now move to Honorable Small.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, and thank you for allowing us to open this, to participate in this debate. Honourable Speaker, the Democratic Alliance urges the MEC for Treasury to urge various departments across all sectors that are receiving this additional funding to be transparent in their reporting, to be held accountable, and to make sure that fiscal discipline is at the forefront when they do account. Because when we deal with disaster funding, we don't normally follow all due supply chain processes. And it's about spending it now, immediately, and it is then when we find that various sectors do not follow due processes. Honourable Speaker, the adjustment budget is essentially a revised version of the annual budget that allows the provincial administration to make changes to its appropriations and allocations during the financial year. In this case, the 2024-25 financial year. The power to adopt the adjustment budget is the Limpopo Appropriation Amendment Bill lies with this August House. But, Honourable Speaker, an adjustment budget also tells a story. In this case, it tells a story of a province battered by natural disasters, recurring the allocation of resources for disasters, recovery, and an abject failure by departments to spend desperately needed resources. Honourable Speaker, on particular concern to the Democratic Alliance is the underspend of 187,965,000 rand from the Department of Education's infrastructure grant. It is inconceivable that this administration can underspend on a grant funding for something as vital as education infrastructure, forcing to surrender almost 200 million rand to the national fiscus, along with an additional 112 million rand in so-called declaring savings. This is happening despite the ongoing infrastructure challenges in our schools across our province. We are told there are negotiations underway to prevent the forfeit of these funds. But we ask, how did this situation arise? Where is the transparency, accountability, and responsibility? And where are the consequences? We do note that it is the implementing agents, but still we ask for accountability. Honourable Speaker, most of the remaining adjustments and appropriations are aimed at funding disaster relief measures following a spate of natural disasters. While this is both morally and rationally correct, and the DA supports the principle that provincial departments and stakeholders, especially the most vulnerable, must be supported, we have serious concerns about the capacity and the competence of both the provincial administration and our municipalities to deliver. The province has a poor track record when it comes to disaster prevention, mitigations, preparedness, response, recovery, and coordination. In 2023, the town of Palaborwa was devastated, with some 20 homes and lodges burned down, partly due to the lack of pressurized water and extinguishers of the flames. Disaster relief was promised by members of this provincial executive, some of whom sits in this very house. Yet, to this day, those residents are still waiting. Since then, another disaster struck. The Eden Square shopping centre also went up in flames, again due to the lack of water pressure. Early this year, parts of Vembe, Mopani, and Blouberg were ravaged by black frost and hail. Once again, we saw a lack of coordination and a delayed response. And once again, it was the most vulnerable whom suffered the most. Honourable Speaker, disaster management starts with the prevention and mitigation. The Democratic Alliance asked, what steps is the provincial government, in collaboration with the district and local municipalities, taking to prevent disasters or minimize the severity thereof? What risk assessments, early warning systems, spatial planning, and resilience measurements are in place? What is the state of our preparedness and response capacity? How ready are we to act immediately to save lives, protect property, and meet the basic human needs? In Phalaborwa, if Phalaborwa is the yardstick, the answer is not at all. Our district municipalities lack the necessary skills and resources to adequately respond to disasters. The recovery and rehabilitation functions of disaster management is meant to restore infrastructure, services, and livelihoods after a disaster. It should embrace the principles of building back better. But in Phalaborwa, people are still waiting. Honourable Speaker, as I conclude, we have ventilated our concerns regarding the underspending of close to 200 million rand from the education infrastructure grant and its return to national fiscus. We support the adjustment and the appropriations that release funding to bolster our response to disaster. But we will closely monitor the application of relief funds to ensure that they are used transparently, effectively, and being held and people being held accountable. As the Democratic Alliance in Limpopo, we will ensure that the newly established Limpopo Portfolio Committee on Disaster Management exercise its mandate fully, and that rehabilitation efforts leads to swift and lasting recovery for our affected communities. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you very much for managing your own time. EFF, I'm not sure who's coming. Okay, Honorable Mapul.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker and the August House. Honorable Speaker, the Limpopo Adjustment Appropriation Bill, Amendment Bill, is not a progressive and radical as anticipated and expected by the people of Limpopo. This bill is another shameful and malicious compliance exercise which denies the people their constitutional rights for access to service delivery. This bill does not address the socio-economic condition of our people on the ground because it's not people-centered to achieve this. Furthermore, it would be difficult to implement programs funded through shifting of funds between and within votes because the state does not have internal capacity to perform government functions. The state relies more on consultants to execute its mandate, and yet half of the time such initiatives does not yield positive results because the government continues to underperform as highlighted by the Auditor General in each financial year. Honorable Speaker, the Kunab River Bridge on the R518 road and D2644 road in Mohalakwin are used by the people to travel between Marken and Bagambek. These bridges are in an appalling condition, and yet money is being pumped in the Department of Public Works, Roads and Infrastructure each year. Bakekolo le bakhalabe ba le kwaleng kwa thaba bokhubedu ba tshwanyegile ka ge ile ba ba tshwanela go ja masheleng a bona a SASSA ore ba ke kagele le bridge ore ba bona bana ba bona ba kgone go ya dikolong a ke diphishamare gobane ba tšea the last money bakekolo empa ra ba reta bakekolo le bakhalabe ka le bridge lewe ba le theile bakhalabe le bakekolo bridge. The Department of Public Works, Roads and Infrastructure failed to the people of Denelton. There is no maintenance on these bridges, hence they are getting old fast and neglected due to we don't care attitude on the government. There is generally zero achievement on infrastructure projects in the province, and the socio-economic conditions of our people continue to deteriorate. This government does not understand the importance of infrastructure projects as the catalyst of economic growth, resulting in service delivery and sustainable development. Honorable Speaker, even though money has been allocated to the Department of Health every financial year, the people do not have access to primary health care. Majority of clinics in the province do not operate 24 hours. Out of the untimely death of a 16-year-old teenager, Katlego, the driver from Sibitiela, after collapsing in a football ground, is put squarely on the shoulders of the department and government. Members of his football club rushed him to the clinic, only to be told by nurses that the facility is closed, and they were turned away. May his soul rest in peace. Of the 540 clinics in Limpopo, only 220 operate on 24/7, meaning that 320 clinics do not operate on 24-hour basis. Had the teenager been attended to upon arrival, he would have been alive today as we speak. Honorable Speaker, even though money has been allocated to the Department of Agriculture, the Sibidiela Citrus Estate Farm remain an elephant in the room as it continues to deteriorate. This iconic project has the potential to create more than 300 jobs, but it still stands. It remains a shadow of itself. Honorable Speaker, it seems like Musina Makado SEZ is a big mountain to climb for the government. The project is forever on a conceptual stage with very little progress recorded. This project has the potential to create more than 20,000 jobs, but the jobs are being postponed due to zero progress on the project. The debt is failing the people of Limpopo in a radical way. Honorable Speaker, just recently this year, the Great North Transport bus lost control and overturned, resulting in the injury of 80 passengers. This accident happened near Moratiwa Crossing Mall in Mosterelos in Sikukun. At the root of this accident by Great North Transport buses is the fact that they are in the dilapidated state. The situation regarding these buses is untenable. These notorious buses, called buses of death, are very old and they are not serviced and maintained. They are the real skorokoros in our roads. The GNT mass depots are littered with scrap buses which are unroadworthy. This government is disintegrating and crumbling down in front of their own eyes. I thank you, Speaker.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy. Eish, it's like the timer might not work. Ne? It's like we don't need a timer. Thank you so much. We'll now get the chair of the committee, Honorable Piedi Maseka Solomon, to close the debate.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I think I did my first greetings when I came here. First thing, I just want to welcome the budget speech presented by MEC, a well-balanced budget speech that was presented last time. We are really happy about how you have captured all the spheres in our various departments. Nevertheless, Madam Speaker, allow me to firstly borrow words of wisdom from those who came before us when we are saying, as Julius Nyerere said, the timeless ways of Julius Nyerere cut to the heart of our challenge today when he said, open quote, independence cannot be real if a nation depends upon gifts. As we gather to examine the geopolitical forces shaping South Africa and Limpopo's economic future, we must confront this uncomfortable truth. Our province, blessed with abundant minerals, fertile land, and untapped human potentials, remains a paradox of poverty. I'm sorry, pardon me, Honorable Speaker. Our province, blessed with abundant minerals, fertile land, and untapped human potential, remains trapped in a paradox of poverty amidst plenty. I think you will have observed that this has been well balanced when the budget speech was presented to address this issue. The global economic order, with its lopsided trade agreements and resource extraction models, continues to dictate terms that keep us dependent rather than the developed state. This debate must address how we break these chains, transforming Limpopo from a supplier of raw materials to a hub of innovation and self-sustaining growth. The stake could not be higher anyway, Madam Speaker. While foreign investment flows into extractive industries, local communities see little benefits, with youth unemployment exceeding 50% and subsistence farmers struggling against subsidized imports. In this regard, Honorable Speaker, I think in the future, the Department of Agriculture, MEC, will be amongst those who will be well financially supported in order to change the landscape of our province. More so given the situation that we are in a rural area, we need to see green fields, not only in the farms, but in the rural areas. Madam Speaker, our participation in BRICS offers new markets, but risks replicating old patterns of common dependence. Climate finance initiatives from the global north often come with technologies we must import rather than manufacture. Today, we must ask, will we continue feeding the system that starves us or build our own tables? The solution lies in radical economic transformation, from localizing renewable energy production to restructuring trade partnerships that prioritize technology rather than transfer over resources extraction. This is not just policy. It is the foundation of our true sovereignty. Madam Speaker, we gather to deliberate on these crucial reports. We must recognize that financial governance is more than balancing books. It is about balancing the aspiration of our people with the realities of our resources. The English poet John Donne once wrote, "No man is an island in the entire of itself," reminding us that our financial decisions create ripples across very community in Limpopo. As you heard some honorable members talking about some failures, I think the leadership in this province has also recognized that. The clean audit achievement marks a significant milestone in our journey towards financial accountability. However, as we celebrate this accomplishment, we must heed the warning of philosopher Francis Bacon when he says, "Money is like muck," which is M-U-C-K. "No good except it be spread." That's exactly what the MEC has done. Our financial health means little unless it translates into tangible improvements in service delivery and economic opportunities across municipalities. I think that is where the cow now is eaten, Honorable Speaker. The infrastructure assessment program deserves particular attention, having evaluated 27 provincial departments and 10 prioritized municipalities. This assessment revealed both progress and persistent challenge in aligning our capital investment with community needs. The transversal system training, which reached numerous officials across departments, demonstrates our commitment to building institutional capacity. Yet, we must ask whether these efforts are creating lasting change or merely temporary improvements. Once again, Honorable Speaker, our risk management framework assessments uncovered systematic vulnerabilities that require urgent attention. The financial statements reviewed across various votes tell a story of gradual improvement, though not disregarding that highlights areas where stronger controls are needed. In other words, we are not complacent, Honorable Speaker. We always make sure that we follow the reports, and where we find gaps, as we have seen the submission, we address that. The State of Municipal Finance reports examined by the department reveal worrying gaps in financial management at local government level that demand our collective action. I think the Honorable MECs here, working together, all of us will close that gap. The department's research outputs, particularly the 3 fiscal policy alignment documents, represent valuable intellectual capital. However, as the novelist George Eliot observed, I quote, "The important work of moving the world forward does not wait to be done by perfect men." We must implement these policies despite our imperfection, adapting as we learn from experience. Honorable Speaker, the Shared Internal Audit Service represents one of our most potent tools for ensuring accountability. The finalization of 103% of planned audits demonstrates the dedication of our audit teams. However, as the playwright George Bernard said, the single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it has taken place. Audit findings must be communicated and acted upon with equal vigor. In other words, the findings will always be followed and make sure that all the gaps that are left are also closed. The cybersecurity initiatives undertaken by the department reflect our growing awareness of digital risk to public finances. In an era where financial transactions increasingly occur in digital spaces, we must remain vigilant against new forms of malfeasance. The annual Quality Assurance Review provides assurance about the department's internal processes, but constant vigilance remains essential. As we consider these reports, Honorable Speaker, we must recognize that financial management is ultimately about people, not just numbers. The training courses concluded on the transversal systems have equipped hundreds of officials with valuable skills. Yet true transformation requires more than technical competence. It demands a culture of accountability and permeates every level of government. I think that is what we are all struggling to get it right. Once more, Honorable Speaker, the Financial Governing Program's compliance assessment have identified both strengths and weaknesses in the system of government. While we celebrate 100% processing of irregular expenditure, condonement requests, we must work to prevent such expenditures from occurring in the first place. Prevention will always prove more effective than remediation. Once again, Honorable Speaker, looking ahead, we must focus on building financial resilience across all spheres of government in the province. This means developing contingencies, plans for economic shocks, creating reserves for emergencies, and fostering intergovernmental cooperation to share the practices. Our financial systems must be robust enough to withstand challenge while remaining flexible enough to seize opportunities. In conclusion, Honorable Speaker, in response directly to what honorable members have said on the issue of transparency, I think it has been shown all the times during the reports that our departments are trying their level best to make sure that we know what they're doing. We know where they're failing, we know where they're winning. In my conclusion, as I reflect to that one, Honorable Speaker, let us remember the words of the poet W.H. Auden when he said, "Thousands have lived without love, not one without water," which I think these are the efforts that we are all doing to make sure that the people of Limpopo are not only supplied with water and electricity and other important services, and that it is done as we stand at 95% in terms of the electricity and the supply of water, that all the districts in Limpopo are hands on deck to make sure that we succeed. The numbers in this document represent schools to be built, clinics to be staffed, and infrastructure to be maintained, municipalities to be supported. In other words, the report does not even undermine the issue of key areas in the infrastructure, particularly in public works with adjustment, upward adjustment, as well as does not even ignore the loss we suffered under Department of Education. And we hope going forward, all this will be addressed. I think several times the MEC for Agriculture has always responded on the issue of the citrus in Zebediela, where we think we are heading somewhere. The same way in the GNT, the MEC has shown that it's not business as usual. As the portfolio committee, we're almost pleased to see how, from the past to the present, we are trying to make things right. The transparency shown, as one of the honorable members was talking about the transparency from particularly the departments that got an increase in this adjustment, has always been shown by various committees, particularly those that are reporting to us as well. Let us adopt the reports with a reviewed commitment to financial stewardship that serves all citizens of Limpopo. May we approach our oversight responsibilities with both rigor and compassion, recognizing that behind every rand spent lies a person hoping for a better life. The true measure of our success will be found not in audit opinions only, but in thriving communities across our province. That will be a measuring a measuring stick to show that indeed the people of Limpopo deserve better and the people of Limpopo get better services. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chairperson of Treasury says to us we must bring the timer. So I'm just indicating that we are going to ensure that we start to get used of the timer. From the future sittings that we are going to have, as and when we've got debates, let's make sure that we do time ourselves. If we say 10 minutes, time yourselves. Otherwise, you're going to have a situation where when you're still talking, the timer stops you. So we deliberately stopped it because we felt you were not informed about it. We are now formally informing the House that in the future sittings, don't be surprised when you debate, there will be a timer that will be timing you. But now we'll proceed in terms of the orders of the day. We'll allow the MEC for Provincial Treasury to come and respond to the debate. MEC Khabu Mawai, Khabu Elias Mawai.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, honorable members, and thank you for your words of wisdom. And I believe in all what you said. It was simply that you're supporting the bill. There's not much to respond except to acknowledge and take it upon ourselves, of course, that this is our baby. It's a money bill, Honorable Mapolo. It doesn't have to be specifically responding to other things. As you know, by its nature, a money bill is allocated for a particular purpose, and indicates the supremacy of the legislature over authorization of monies and the responsible authority still to make sure that those monies are spent in accordance with the approval lies mostly with the legislature. And therefore, of whatever you said, it is true to yourself and all of us. And we'll appreciate that if we can be in the same understanding. Again, let me just reiterate the fact that it is revolutionary in the sense that this legislature and this government saw it fit that we don't have to wait for the long turnaround time for responding to disasters, and then decided to have this mechanism as prescribed by the law and as it is to be the way it is, so that all those excesses that happen as a result of less having been done to do some checks and balances and preventive controls is the reason why sometimes during these circumstances, when there are emergencies, you have some excesses that are unfortunate. So we have taken note of and we appreciate what all members have said, and we therefore believe that as we move forward, we all are moving together to look at whether what we allocated is being put to better use. And members, as they may have noticed in our budget, and now we are focusing on saying that the allocation to legislature is to enable members to conduct oversight. They should be the first to tell whether what they approved is not working. Ours is to execute, and theirs is to oversee and hold others accountable. I'm not trying to rehash this, but I'm trying to emphasize the unity of purpose and the manner in which our system works, whereby the legislative arm and the executive arm work together for a common cause. Of course, on a very it's not a good equilibrium, because more power is then vested in the parliamentarians to ensure that things happen. So, in short, Honorable Speaker, honorable members, we have taken copious notes to ensure that as we go on our business, we consider all matters that have happened. Perhaps as on a parting shot, yes, it was unfortunate for us to have lost that amount back to the fiscus. Actually, not back to the fiscus, back to the national department, where it will be redistributed. They too may not spend it. We have an opportunity to watch and see if we cannot do something about what it didn't do, because it's usually the case when it is noted that something that can be used elsewhere, so much the way as we benefited on human settlements. We took away from others, to be precise, from the Western Cape. You see? So we have learned our lessons, that from our side and from the side of the collective, which is EXCO, will remain vigilant about expenditure trends. And some of these things will not recur, not overwatch. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Emis, I'm not sure whether you want to go to your seat or just sit a little bit before you go back to your seat. Because thank you so much for the response. We are now moving to 7.3, which is the motion for the third reading of the Limpopo Adjustment Appropriation Bill, B02-2025, MEC Provincial Treasury, MEC Honorable Mawai.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Madam Speaker, now that the Limpopo Adjustment Appropriation Amendment Bill, B02-2025, has gone through all the relevant stages of the legislative process of this House, I now move that the bill be read for the third time in terms of the provisions of House Rule 170. I move accordingly, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you so much, Honorable MEC. Any seconder? Honorable Makamu.
Thanks very much, Honorable Speaker. I hereby stand to second the motion as read by the Honorable MEC for Provincial Treasurer, MEC Mawai. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Akensa, Honorable MEC will now proceed directly to 7.3.1, third reading of the Limpopo Adjustment Appropriation Amendment Bill, B02-2025, by the presiding officer. We shall now adopt the schedule by schedule of the bill. Those who agree with will say yes, and those who disagree will say no. Schedule 1, appropriation of adjusted amount money.
Yes.
Schedule 2, amendment of the schedule.
Yeah.
Schedule 3, short title.
Yes.
We shall now adopt vote by vote of the bill. Those who agree will say yes, and those who disagree will say no. No. The EFF is not agreeing to the rules. We'll start by vote 1, Office of the Premier. Yes. Vote 2, Limpopo Legislature.
Yes.
Vote 3, Department of Education.
Yes.
Vote 4, Department of Agriculture and Rural Development.
Yes.
Vote 5, Department of Provincial Treasury.
Yes.
Vote 6, Department of Economic Development, Environment and Tourism.
Yes.
Vote 7, Department of Health. Vote 8, Department of Transport and Community Safety.
Yes.
Vote 9, Department of Public Works, Roads and Infrastructure.
Yes.
Vote 10, Department of Sports, Arts and Culture.
Yes.
Vote 11, Department of Coxstar.
Yes.
Vote 12, Department of Social Development.
Yes.
We shall now call upon the Secretary to read the short title.
This act is called the Limpopo Adjustment Appropriation Amendment Act 2025.
I thought those that have adopted will clap hands. As a sign that the bill has been formally adopted. Thank you so much. We'll now move to item 8, NCOP business. 8.1. Motion of the appointment of special delegates to attend visual NCOP plenaries. Honorable the Chief Whip.
No. Thanks very much, Honorable Speaker. Indeed, I have the correct motion in front of me. Honorable Speaker, the NCOP has scheduled hybrid plenaries for Tuesday 1st and Wednesday 2nd April 2025 at 14 hours. Provinces are required to designate special delegates to attend these plenaries. In terms of Rule 226 Sub-Rule 1, I therefore propose that this House designate the following members as special delegates to attend NCOP plenaries mentioned above. Debate on unlocking the South Africa's economic potential, removing barriers to investment, innovation, economic growth and job creation. 01 April 2025, 14 hours. Honorables M.A. Mukava, C.R. Kupa, V.W. Maringa. Consideration of Select Committee on Finance report on the fiscal framework and revenue proposals, provisional. Debate on South Africa's energy stability, taking decisive measures to permanently end load shedding and strengthen ESCOM's operations. 2 April 2025, 14 hours. Honorables Piedi Maseka Solomon, Honorable Asani Pitankoveni and Honorable Christian Gagareng Rahwale. I so move, Honorable Speaker.
Chair, before I, Honorable Chief Whip, before I can call the seconder, is both virtual, hybrid, or formal attendance in Parliament? I think we need to.
Okay, thanks, Honorable Speaker. The first one is virtual, the second one is physical.
Thank you so much. We shall now call the seconder. Any seconder to the motion? Honorable Mukwili.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I stand to second the appointment of special delegates as presented by the Chief Whip. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We shall now proceed to item 9. Request the Deputy Speaker, says Grace. Says Grace Mamrovela to present the announcements.
Yeah, no, Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. We have received the Spluma bill when the House was not sitting, and it was tabled in terms of House Rule 150 and referred to Portfolio Committee on Coxter for consideration report back to the House. The bill has been published in the Act, in the ATC dated Wednesday, 26 March 2025. Honorable members will be provided with copies of the bill. The first question paper is available and members of Executive Council should respond to those parliamentary questions. Lunch will be served at the committee's main boardroom. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you so much, honorable members. You were very good participants of the sitting. Is there any another announcement?
Yeah, thank you, Speaker. It's not an announcement. Speaker, I don't know under which rule I would be speaking on, but today I felt like listening to Sepedi. But these things are just narrating what is just being said there. So I thought that we can be privileged with our own languages. Thanks.
Honorable Mabucha. Honorable Mabucha. If you don't know how to operate, the gadget will teach you. Yeah, we shall teach you where to you get the spady. So we'll do the proper orientation. We apologize for not orientating you. We shall now proceed. We shall now proceed. We shall now proceed to item 10. Honorable members, like I said, this was amongst the best sittings we have ever had. And the House is adjourned to Tuesday, the 8th April 2025 at 10 o'clock in this Leboahomo Legislative Chamber. Thank you so much. The House stands adjourned.